His hands. Number one. So which one is that? This also is 3D experience? CATIA or SolidWorks? CATIA. Okay. Any other? Same. We have some guests right now, they're joining. Let them just settle down. Just hold on for a moment, and we have been just joined by some more friends today. So at this moment, I believe currently we only have got two of the guys who have already, I think, they have been introduced and they've been working on a PLM solution. So let me just quickly take you around. A product lifecycle management is a framework. It is often considered like it's a single software. It's not a single software actually. It's a framework, it's a concept of covering the entire life cycle of a product actually. Life cycle management covers the entire life of a product, how it was conceived, how it was validated at the initial level, where did the initial thought came from, then how it was brought into the detail engineering level, how it entered into manufacturing, and how it was commissioned, and how it actually decommissioned. So they're building blocks of life cycle management system. So the first building block we should have for life cycle management system is the data management. If you start the journey of, if you start your journey into a life cycle management system, so initially this is the first step we are talking about, the data management system. So you need to have a centralized data management system in order to start your journey within the life cycle management system. So this is the first start. The next step is the product management, which includes project management, portfolio management, quality and compliance management, and request management and system engineering. So this is the second component and second step in your journey once you're adopting and you're acquiring a lifecycle management system. It could be any brand or any region, but this is a general takeaway. And then we have got digital manufacturing stage within the lifecycle management system, and then comes the sourcing part. So PLM solution is not about, it's not a single software, it's a concept, it's a framework which integrates people, which integrates technologies, which integrate processes, which integrates other solutions as well, including ERP solutions, including MRP solutions. So it's a mother of all solutions, you can say, the lifecycle management system. I will skip this one for a while. We will be talking about the benefits of PLM solutions in later time. This one is a very important. Zara isko manage karna. Since most of our audience today is from aerospace industry, so we have just prepared a case, a possible case scenario of an aircraft designing and manufacturing process, and let's talk about like how this process typically starts and how does this journey takes place actually. Normally we know aircrafts designing and manufacturing, it's not a easy task, it's not a very short time lived task. Just before this seminar, I was just going through the TFX program, and I was just looking at the dates when it was conceived and it started. So officially, the first go-ahead of this program was given in December 2010, actually. So it's been already 13 years when they actually gave the official go-ahead of start about the feasibilities of the project actually. So the project is into its 13th year right now, and the product hasn't flown it yet. I believe they are planning to do the test flights end of this year, and the actual rollout would be in 2028. So from the first, from the day one, so it's an 18-year long project, I would say. So just imagine someone conceived this idea 18 years back. There must be a lot of consideration, and as far as this program, TFX program is concerned, one of the capabilities and one of the considerations to come up with this program was the obsolescence of their F-16 fleet actually. So it's one of the reasons Turkish Air Force is going for this project is replacement of one of their existing aircrafts actually. So it was one of the major consideration of coming up with this aircraft. Plus, it might be one of another consideration which is never said somewhere, which is never documented somewhere. Nobody would ever claim like I'm doing this project so because of we want to have some strategic advantages in the region, or we want to showcase our military strengths in the region, and obviously the export business. But these are the strategic considerations we do have. So what do we know is like the design and the development, actually it's not the first step within the life cycle management actually. Starting a CAD model is not the first step in the product development process actually. A lot of people have misconception like if we have an idea, the first step is to start आपने अपना CAD system open किया and you start to draw and start sketching and start to develop a product. It's not like that. A lot of work has to be done before this stage actually, and typically it would start from some strategic consideration. And what are the possible strategic considerations? We have like one of the strategic considerations could be obsolescence of an existing aircraft system. Another strategic consideration could be the battlefield scenario might change. The possible enemy scenario might have changed. They might have come up with a latest system and you have to respond to that system. A strategic consideration could be your economic condition or geopolitical considerations. You have been depending on one of the sources or a number of sources which are no more available to you, which we believe is our case. And again, the affordability of imported system. So these are the strategic considerations which have to be recorded, which have to be considered while starting a project. And soon after the strategic consideration, these strategic considerations are then finally converted into tactical considerations. The technical considerations, we have got we have to consider the emergence of technology. You might have to consider whether you're going to take a solo flight or you're going to engage into some sort of a joint venture with someone. And this has been a practice in aerospace industry. I'm sorry, we have been having some IT glitches. Doesn't seem like very a good omen. We are talking about life cycle management and we are struggling to handle a PowerPoint slide. The technical considerations would eventually be converted into, would be actually the igniters for product development process actually, which starts with conceptual design and finally will have the mission profile, configuration management, size and weight and performance, and the aircraft meet the economic requirements as well. So we have started with a very broad spectrum of strategical consideration, narrowed down to the technical level of consideration, eventually coming up with the conceptual configurations and the conceptual level. So the data streams are now converging into a conceptual level project. So at this moment, what happens is like it's been done. It's not been ignored, but it's not channelized. Now, this is one of the challenge which we are having. The people who conceived this project might not be there. Somebody might would have been retired, posted out somewhere. So it was like, so what we are talking about is we have to digitalize and document and predefine this process, not to leave it to the eventual, occurrences and to see, let's see what happens next. So this should not be the approach. So what we are talking about, life cycle management gives you a framework before you actually start the actual process. You need to plan this process, and it would be better if you do it digitally actually. And then finally, this is the next part of our project, and once we are into the design phase, sequential designing is not the practice. Sequential designing is time-taking, and it's very, very time-consuming. The systems which we are talking about, they have to be integrated, and design and development would be done in parallel, which is called concurrent engineering. And this is what we'll be actually talking about in the later slides. So concurrent engineering is like developing a design, a parallel design, somebody working on the fuselage, somebody working on the air wing, somebody working on the landing gear, somebody working on the propulsion system parallel, somebody working in the avionics systems, and eventually all of these works converge and develop into a final product. So this is what we'll be actually talking about. So that will be all from my side, and let me just invite Mr. Mutaz Lashin, since he'll be joining us remotely from Dubai, and we're already late by I think 10-15 minutes. So I will skip some of our parts, and then we can have sessions later. So do we have Mutaz online? Before Mutaz actually starts, I've known Mutaz for the last 7-8 years, and we've been working very closely with Mutaz. He's been a regular visitor to Pakistan, and by nationality and origin, he's Egyptian and based in Mutaz. And Mutaz is like, I would say, one of the finest application engineers I've ever worked with in my career, and I deeply respect him. And he's been traveling to Pakistan. He's been helping us in every sphere. He's been to a lot of industries, and he knows Pakistan and Islamabad, Lahore, Karachi, and our industries very, very well. I think some of our guests from Qadri Engineers, I think you must have met Mutaz and Qadri Engineers as well. So Mutaz is not new to Pakistan. We had his last session at NUST as well. So hopefully Mutaz will be here in August and September in physically. So Mutaz, are you there with me?
Yeah. So thank you, Saad, for the introduction.
My pleasure, Mutaz. It's been always a pleasure to talk to you and have you with us. You can see the hall is absolutely filled up. We have a full packed show, and I will take a moment to just introduce the audience today. We have people from very different backgrounds and industrial cases with us. We've got people from aerospace industry, we've got people from military vehicle design and development, we've got people from aerospace industry, we've got people from your old friend and customers from Qadri Brothers. They're one of the leading companies in foundries, and the leading company in the casting solutions to sugar mill manufacturing and large scale manufacturing. We've got people from agriculture university and research institutes for agriculture implements. So it's quite diversified, but naturally we have the majority comes from the aerospace industry. So over to you, Mutaz. You can see the audience, and the audience can see you, and we can hear you loudly. Please fire away. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Saad. Thank you, gentlemen, for being here with us today, and thank you for this invitation. Have a very good morning today. Assalamu alaikum awalan. Can you hear me, guys? Okay, very good. So I will start. There will be a lot of information to share with you today, but I will try my best to conclude it. Starting with a small introduction, and then we're going to speak about a platform called 3D Experience. And then later on, we'll be speaking about a data management solution called SolidWorks Manage. So let's start ahead with a little bit historical recap. Where are we and where do we start? So we started 1995. There was a solution under Windows, the first CAD solution under Microsoft Windows. And the idea at that time that who invented that solution called SolidWorks, to be able to give that affordable solution for each and every Windows user. And from that, we started with a full spectrum year over year to acquire more solutions. Some of them has been acquisition through a software. Others, they were solution that we acquired the whole company. So for example, 2001, we acquired a solution called Cosmos, and then later on, we called that SolidWorks Simulation. 2003, we acquired a solution called SolidWorks Flow Simulation and CFD Analysis. And then in 2006, there was a solution called SolidWorks BDM that specifically dedicated for file management in particular. And then there was another solution called SolidWorks Composer that dedicated for technical illustration. That whenever you are into an instruction manual, for example, assembly instruction, user guides, maintenance manual, SolidWorks Composer will be able to do that. And then, of course, we cannot ignore the fact that all of the engineers coming from the 2D background, they will need the DWG editor, a DWG type of software that they can edit a 2D drawing. And then we provided draft side. And then there was SolidWorks Electrical and SolidWorks Plastic Injection Molding in terms of electrical design and injection molding analysis. And then in 2014, there was a very nice solution called SolidWorks Inspection that enabled you to create first article inspection report and saving more than 95%, I can say, of your first article inspection creation. And then we came to 2015 with a new era of engineering that enabled you to create model-based definition. Model-based definition, which is the new technology that you can create a drawing over the 3D, not with the 2D. So you can create all the manufacturing information, annotations, drawing, tolerances over directly the 3D model. And then there was SolidWorks PCB to create electronic design. And lately we come with SolidWorks CAM. It was there before called CAMWorks, and then we acquired the solution, enable each and every SolidWorks user to create 2.5 axis machining up to 3+2 for CNC programming. And of course, there was a need not only for file management, but of course, to create process, project management, dashboards and reports, task management, and that's why we provided to the users SolidWorks Manage. The acquisition of the Sol system happens in 1997 of SolidWorks, and from that point on, we started growing SolidWorks brand. So when we call it SolidWorks today, so SolidWorks is a brand that contains all of these solutions. And then there was another story coming from 3D experience. I mean, in parallel, the Sol system, to understand, I don't know if you are aware of the Sol system, maybe the Sol Aviation, because you are coming from the same industry. Have you heard about it? Anyone? Just raise hands, I can see you. The Sol Aviation. Anyone?
Yes, Matav, we have heard about the Dassault systems, and most of the audience know about the Dassault systems as well.
So the Sol Aviation, back in 1981, they were trying to invent a jet called Mirage. And at that time, they would not be able to find a good CAD solution in the market that enabled them to invent the state-of-the-art type of plane. And that's why they invented themselves a solution called CATIA. And then year over year, they started to think that, hey, we are not a software company. We need to give that solution to another software vendor that they can develop that solution the way we like it. And then they gave it to IBM, by the way, for 2-3 years. And because IBM were not able to develop the solution the way that engineering think, they gave back that solution and they started a new company called Dassault Systems. And from that point on, the Dassault System started to develop all the solutions for Dassault Aviation, but not only Dassault Aviation, for all aviation sector, for all aerospace sector. And then they started to evolve, they started to develop, because we know aerospace and defense is like the market leader. Anything applied to that could be applied to any other industry. And then we come up with an idea of 3D mockup, and then later on there was 3D PLM, which come involved with the different type of life cycle management. And then in 2012, we think about that we should be the market leader. I mean, PLM is not enough. We need the platform that connects everything. The software, the tools, the idea, the people, enabling to collaborate, having all of your tools together in one platform. And then there's, currently we are living into the virtual twin, where the reality needs whatever virtual that you can simulate in your software. So 3D Experience Platform is a business platform that connects many brands inside of Dassault Systems. For all SolidWorks users, we were only dealing with SolidWorks brand, which again, SolidWorks CAD, SolidWorks simulation, flow simulation, injection molding, SolidWorks inspection, SolidWorks CAM, all of that including that brand. 3 years ago, we decided to connect SolidWorks users to the 3D Experience Platform, enabling them to take all the benefit from different brands. So for example, for SolidWorks users, we will not be able to have electromagnetic simulation. There was something that like beyond our imagination. And today we can do that thanks to the 3D Experience Platform, because we are connected to another brand called Somalia. So within Somalia, we will find Abacus, we will find Tosca, we will find CST, which is a dedicated solution for electromagnetic simulation. And also we will be able to connect to CATIA, we will be able to connect to Inovia, we will be able to connect to Delmia, which is a complete manufacturing brand that includes CNC programming, robotics programming, factory simulation, factory layout, and a lot of other solutions. So, gentlemen, can you hear me well? Okay, very good. As I say, that once we are connected to the 3D Experience Platform, that give us the ability to simulate beyond the limit. So for example, if you have a very complex structure, very large assembly, and you wanted to test the drop test, this is a high-speed event that will require not linear explicit solver. And not only that, thanks to the 3D Experience Platform, you can perform all of that analysis on the cloud. So even if you don't have the resources to do that, you can do that in the cloud. And we are connected to a complete solution called Metadata that enable you to simulate, of course, along with Abacus, the human tissues. This is like unique in the market today. And whatever the type of analysis, like vibroacoustic, for example, we can do that type of analysis and leverage the smart cities type of analysis. So what's in it for us? Because speaking about the source system, we are considering ourselves as a scientific company that today, for example, it's more than 24,000 employees. And why we are speaking about these numbers? Because we are the market leader of engineering science, I can say. So maybe half of that number of people are working only in R&D, listening to the customer, understanding the need, understanding how to evolve, how to develop the industry. And with that, we are bringing to all SolidWorks users something what we call it 3D Experience SolidWorks, which is a cloud-based solution enabling you to connect and to use the SaaS model. SaaS model means that you are using the software, you are using the infrastructure, you are using the license even, all of that on the cloud. And what you need to provide only a renting model. So all of that comes together into one solution. So this is by itself for us as SolidWorks users, we can call that is a transformation by itself. So we are transforming from an install locally sometimes to connect it to the 3D experience platform on the cloud. We enable the users not only to use their machines, but to be access the data, enable them to access the data from anywhere, from any device. We are trying to scale all the overhead of that IT infrastructure and the cost, and provide you only with the license, and all of the infrastructure behind the scene, it's available for you. Of course, the data is secure. Of course, the data in the cloud will be more secure even the data on my local hard disk drive. But not only that, it's more scalable. I mean, for me as a user, I don't care. I just want maybe a tool, a good data management that works for me. But also, I do care about the scalability. If I need any capabilities, it should be available. And this is exactly what's happening today with the 3D Experience SolidWorks. So for example, we can leverage generative design. We can leverage even some of the X apps that not required even any type of installation directly in the browser from any type of machine, from any type of computer. And for example, in manufacturing or fabrication, today we can leverage scalable solutions to be able to create a factory layout, to be able to create something what we call it a factory simulation. Just imagine the scenario that you are producing these type of products, and then these type of products coming through from different machines, through conveyors, through robots, for example, and then you wanted to simulate the whole cycle and to understand the productivity at the end of the day, and what if scenarios, what if that you speed up the conveyor speed, for example, if you change the layout of the factory, what's going to happen in that case? For SolidWorks users, we will never be able to program the robots. Today, with 3D Experience SolidWorks, we can connect to that capability, enabling you to have a library of robots that you can have a programming for them. For example, for SolidWorks users, we never had the ability to create a sub-D modeling, inside of SolidWorks. And to be able to do that in the past, we have to depend on an add-on. Today, with 3D Experience SolidWorks, we have sculpting module, enabling the designer to create primitive shapes directly on the cloud. We're enabling them to create an A-class surface at the end. So do you have any questions so far related to the 3D Experience platform? Any questions?
Thank you very much, Mr. Murtaza Lashim. it's very nice to see that how the SolidWorks has broadened the canvas over the years. And I have been a user of SolidWorks for the past 15 years as well. While doing my PhD, my lab was serving for Dassault Systems for the development of the future versions, in fact. And in fact, they were working on the skin model shapes, which is basically the future of CAD. Coming to the point, I would like to highlight something which I have felt regarding SolidWorks. It's quite useful regarding mechanical design and the basic level simulations. But we are here to discuss its connectivity with aerospace. I found in SolidWorks that if we add some aerospace specific case studies like aircraft vibrations, aircraft shock, materials being used for the development of aircraft, their analysis like composite materials, maybe carbon fiber epoxies, e-glass epoxies. So this is an element which I have found if we could add to SolidWorks, and I think that would be very useful, that we can add aerospace related case studies. So what's your take on that?
Maybe I didn't get the whole thing. If you, the voice was not clear. I believe you are asking about simulation of the composite material.
Yes.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes. Actually, the one element is the composite material, which is a larger portion of any aircraft. The other is the aircraft specific simulations. I found nothing in SolidWorks simulation regarding specific case studies related to aerospace. So that's my point.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's a good question. And if I can answer that question, as I told you, maybe I was not clear in that. You know, SolidWorks by itself maybe cannot leverage these type of analysis. So we don't have, for example, yeah, we have a composite simulation, but not at the high-end type of analysis. As I told you, for example, you have in your aircraft multiple antennas, right? And within that, you wanted to simulate all of these antennas, what the interference between them, or maybe what's the electromagnetic compatibility between all of these antennas. So SolidWorks by itself will never be able to do that. But connected to the 3D experience platform, that enable you to connect to another brand called Simolia, and inside Simolia there is a CST solution. The state-of-the-art, or maybe a high-end electromagnetic simulation, enabling you to do that type of analysis. And it's going to be exactly the same to the composite material. So, for example, SolidWorks by itself and SolidWorks simulation will never be able to do that composite type of analysis, and specifically non-linear. We have some limitation in that. But because we are connected to the 3D experience platform, again, we can connect to the Simolia brand. And inside the Simolia brand, there is Abacus solver. And that Abacus solver enables you to do these type of complex analysis for composite material, even according to type of the layers, for example, and even that gonna happen in non-linear. And within the Simolia brand, we can have what we call it a co-simulation or multi-physics simulation. So you can even have some, what we can call it information or inputs directly from, let's say, Abacus. I mean, for example, you're going to do a CFD analysis and take that information as an input for static analysis, harmonic analysis, any type of simulation you want. Hopefully that answered the question.
Yes, thank you very much for the answer. Just one last point regarding this talk. Actually, since why I am asking this question, because SolidWorks is basically a baby of an aerospace developer, aircraft developer, like Dassault Systems. They have developed Mirage, they have developed Rafale as well. So we would be quite glad and happy to see their knowledge of aerospace product development in this software. This is the point. And using your reference, if we can raise our voice to the Dassault system, if they could include, that would be quite useful for the aerospace product development community. Thank you very much.
I'm not sure if I get that question correctly, but maybe are speaking about specific workflows and
Yes.
specific demos
Yes, of course.
related to aerospace, right?
Yes, yes.
Yes, of course we have that. You know, the solar system own more than 98% of that industry. Again, because simply we are coming from that industry. I mean, the solar system is born according to the standards of the aviation. You know, so of course we have many workflows solutions related to aviation. But before showing that, maybe in next seminar we're gonna have that in place. We just need to give a bit of understanding to the users today what is 3D experience, you know.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We do have another question.
So moving to the collaboration, because we consider that the collaboration is, I can say, is the basic thing. We can call it the baseline for all engineers and all of the company. And to organize the data, to come together for all of the informations, we're gonna have an engineer starting with different scenarios, just to imagine what is the 3D experience. So any one of you has been using 3D experience before? No? Yes?
Mutaz,
Have you seen 3D experience before? What does it mean 3D experience even for us as SolidWorks users?
we have got two
So
people in
I-
audience who've been using 3D experience. Two guys.
Okay, very good. Maybe that's why, for the gentleman who asked why we start from here, because we need to introduce the users first, the basics. And then maybe later we can speak about specific type of scenarios or applications related to the same industry. But the basics can be applied for all the type of industries. So we will be speaking about document management, collaboration, design release, and change management. So we started from the browser, where the 3D experience is. So again, 3D experience is a browser-based solution that connects the tools together. And for example, the designer here is being assigned to a set of tasks. And with all of these tasks, he can leverage the task, he can see exactly what's included in that task, what type of information. The good thing about it that you can assign this task even to yourself. I mean, you can even consider that task as a to-do list for you as a reminder. And then once you are ready, you can get that task in. In the 3D experience platform, we are not considering folders and subfolders. What we call them is bookmarks. And within these bookmarks, you will be able to save your data. This data could be a design data or maybe non-design data like Word or Excel file. And directly from the 3D experience platform, you will be able to see the 3D model. So for example, if you wanted to view the 3D model, you don't have to open it in its CAD tool, but you can directly drag it into 3D plane, which no need at all to install anything. Again, it's a browser base. And from there also, you will be able to understand all the metadata. And the metadata is very important to be attached to the model. This is actually what made that model a 3D mockup. However, here we needed to add non-CAD data. And this non-CAD data, for example, it will be a Word file. The way to add it, just drag and drop. And from here, you will be able to edit and extract all the information of the Word file. So 3D Experience platform also integrated with Microsoft Office. Again, speaking about the data management, the problem is that maybe today you are using the same Microsoft Office, but it's not going to be connected to your data management. But here, all the information, all the files will be managed through the same platform. By the way, Innovia is working for us behind the scene. thinking that, yeah, we wanted to save, for example. So to be able to save, you need to have your own comment. And maybe you wanted to check the versions before saving. So you can find all the information, all the history of the file related. And from there, you will be able directly to save. And of course, you will be able to complete your task. This is for non-CAD data. What about the CAD data? What about SolidWorks itself? So for the users, he will be able to find all the information directly within the SolidWorks user interface. So once you are connected to 3D Experience platform, opening any type of file, save it to the 3D Experience platform, you will get all of this information on the task pane. This is what we call it the PLM connection for SolidWorks to be connected to the 3D Experience platform, giving you all the information, whether the file is being saved in the 3D Experience platform, or maybe preserved, or maybe modified, and what type of versions, what type of revision that you have. So a complete PLM system working for you inside of SolidWorks. And even once you save the file, like for example here, you can specify which bookmark you need to save that file. Think about bookmark as a folders for now, but again, bookmarks is the way to organize the data on the browser-based solution. So we are saving the data here and releasing the lock. Releasing the lock means that I'm finished, done. I'm done with that design, for example, and I'm good with that. So I will let in other users if you wanted to edit in the design. And from there, I can even connect to my tasks and make it completed. So for SolidWorks users, it's straightforward that you can access and give the benefit of the 3D Experience platform directly from your browser. Then not only for SolidWorks data, for all the project data. So what about collaboration? So for example, we wanted to collaborate through the design that, hey, we wanted to check the weight. So I wanted to call someone to help me with that. Like, for example, the design engineer or maybe another production engineer. So to do that, you just need to select the file and mention his name. And tell him that, can we preview the design of that assembly? Let's do that preview together. So it's like living in a digital world that's enabling you not to call person, but directly communicate through the 3D Experience platform. And directly when the other user, like Sam, for example, here, connected, he will receive a notification, and he will be able to preview this exactly the same file. After that, if they are available, both of them together, in the 3D Experience platform, they can connect right away. But before that, Sam not only wanted to preview as a 3D model, but he wants also to preview the structure of the model. So he can bring that to Product Structure Explorer, and he will be able to find exactly the same structure as built inside of SolidWorks. But not only the information about the structure, but the information about the maturity state. Where is that product inside the cycle? Is still in work or maybe released? If there is any other file, for example, attached or reference to that component. And then he can filter, by the way, all of these type of components according to which component they will buy, which component they will make. And once he group by all of that, he will find some of the components is not being grouped, not in buy, not in make. So he wanted to change that or maybe edit in that. but again, he's not a CAD user. Can he do that directly from the 3D Experience platform? Yes, of course. He can edit the attributes, and then, if he has permission for sure, and then he will change that to make. And the same attribute will be applied directly inside of SolidWorks components. I mean, if the designer opened the same component inside of SolidWorks, and then all the component will be grouped by or make. And for example, when he checked the weight, he found that maybe we have some critical issues here. And of course, we can do a simulation, but initial thoughts of Sam that he wanted to connect with Eric, just to discuss with him. So he can directly do a conversation, like chat, inside of the 3D Experience platform. And if they are all both available, they can make a video call, just like the video call that we are doing now, but this is a video call inside the 3D Experience platform. And imagine the case that we are previewing exactly the same design, both of them from both ends, sharing screen. And they can do a markup directly on the same model. Again, this is not like sending a copy of the file, it's the same file that being created inside of SolidWorks. And he will get all the tools enabling him to do the markup. In a very productive way, both of them, they are looking to the same screen, same 3D model in same markup. Nice tools to be able to recognize all the details inside your 3D model. I mean, speaking about the 3D model, it can come from SolidWorks, it can come from any type of tools. And then he's recording that as a panel. And as Eric, maybe he's busy now, he's assigning to himself a task, so he can remember that he needed to check the weight or maybe change the design of that yacht. And he can attach all the assembly along with the markup directly into the task. So for the collaboration, we get all the tools enabling the designer and non-designers, like for example, Sam, he was a supplier guy, to be able to review the design, have a shared common idea. What about the designer lead? So we are into the designer lead, we need just to make design changes. So later on, maybe after 1 day, 2 days, after 2 weeks, Eric, as a designer, is back to the same task, founding that, yeah, we have something here to do. I have to do some material here to change the design. So for that bracket, before making the design change, he wanted to make sure that what if that I do the changes, where that change affects, where that bracket has been used, right? So this is a decision by itself to make a design changes. So again, within the same SolidWorks user interface, he can access relations, and relations will show him exactly where that component being used. So we can see that maybe it's being used in another version of another assembly, like the sport motor knee. And that's why he is going to decide to create a new version of the same bracket. So he will create a new version of the assembly. And in that, directly inside of SolidWorks, will bring him a new revision. So again, for us as SolidWorks users, we will be able to see that directly, that there is a revision management system working for us, managing the revision. Because we set up here the revision as that we still in work, the maturity state. That's why we are only pumping the minor revision, not the major one. And Innovia is doing a great job in that, understanding the maturity state and revision scheme. So it's better always to lock the file, reserve the file before doing any changes. So imagine that we have created the changes, and then maybe we needed to add one component from the library. And then assemble that in place using SolidWorks Mates for sure. And eventually update the drawing. But before updating the drawing, maybe we wanted to release all the components that in work. And while releasing, we need to assign enterprise part numbering. The part number is very important, and there should be a PLM system working for you, assigning for all your components part number that later on could be connected directly to the ERP. And of course, that will be updated to your bill of material. And it's time to release all the components. So we assign the part numbers, and of course, we will release all the components. So what we have done here is that we did the design changes, and all of these design changes with the revisions, with the maturity state, it's being directly applied to the model. And of course, the system will create for you a PDF file that you can maybe share it later on with another third party. So what about design changes? And some of the design changes could be really difficult because we have a road management that some people need to review, need to check, need to approve. And some of these approvals could be in parallel, some of these approvals could be in series. And some of these approvals that we need two of them, or maybe all the parties to approve, or maybe any of them to approve. We can define all of these routes, we call them route management, inside of the 3D Experience platform. And here we can check, for example, all the issues. So anyone in the organization can raise up hands and say, hey, we have some issues here that can delay manufacturing. We have some issues here that related to the performance of the product. So whatever the issues, it will go through a cycle that enabling you to review these issues. So for example here, we wanted to, there is someone created an issue that, hey, we need to reduce the overall weight of the link component. So I got that issue, and then maybe I will see the related items, which is the impacted items in which assembly. So I can open directly the assembly. Remember that all of these operations does not require any SolidWorks or any CAD installed. And the nice thing about it that I can see directly where that issue is being created for specifically which components. And maybe as a designer or maybe a design manager, I will decide that, hey, yeah, I wanted to create what we call a change action. Yeah, this is very important. We need to reduce the weight, and let's put that in high priority. So creating a change action will gather all the information back from the issue to the change action and keep everything referenced. So moving to the change action, let's understand what's happening here. All of the information that we created is being created in the issues. It will be captured directly, and even who created the part and who created the issues will be directly propagated inside that. And of course, as a change action owner, you can, for example, assign the approval. In our case, the approval would be the change of route, I mean the route management that I specified earlier. And then maybe we are ready, we are good to change. But the item specified to change maybe is not correctly by the user, right? So or maybe he's not an engineer. Or maybe he's not from the design. So maybe this my way to specify which component would be affected of that change, which component would be impacted by that change. So Zubair, I'm receiving that my meeting will be dismissed in 10 minutes, right?
We will generate another link and you will join again.
Okay. Yeah, so here I gathered all the information, all the components, all the files or objects related to that change or maybe impacted by that change. Great. Let's move it from draft to in work because I'm ready to start that change. So with that, because all of these files being released, the change action take them back to in work and by default automatically change the revision, the minor revision from A.2 to B.1. Great. So moving to SolidWorks itself, opening the file that required the change, and we can find that hard hat, enabling me that to specify that, yeah, I will be now moving to that component, make the change, and please record all of that change that I'm about to do. So imagine that I did the change, reducing the weight, updating the drawing. Of course, we need to push that file from in work to pending or frozen. And eventually make our change action to pending as well. And approval in this case. So it's waiting for approval, which means that each and every party here needed to do his job for approving the whole change action. So we can see that some of them may be approved. To complete it, it's only the last approver required. And once you click here, you can find the information, for example, if you need to comment, approve, and then click approve. And even for that, we will have a double authentication. Enable the users to each and every time he needed to approve, he needs to submit with his credential. Great. So the change action is being in place. Is being completed. Everything is being approved. And of course, we can check to realize the changes that all the files impacted by change has been moved from frozen to released. And we can see even all the information related to the change action, who approved, what's the history happened here regarding to that change. And from the other side, the change is being backed initially by the issue. So of course we can check that, yeah, this issue is being completed, so that the person who created the issue will be informed that his issue has been solved. So a complete change management within the 3D experience platform. And, you know, the good thing about it that all of this capability, all of them, will come by default after 1 week with each and every new license of SolidWorks. So if you are thinking or maybe about to have a SolidWorks license, all of these capabilities and more will be available for you. So do we have any question so far?
Mutaz, you can join
Questions?
from the second link, and we can have the Q&A session afterwards.
No questions?
Mutaz, we are ending this meeting, and you can join from the second link.
Okay. I'll be joining the other one. See you there.
Mumtaz is just joining back, and we'll have the last Q&A session, and then we will switch to our next session.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you, Mumtaz. You're back online.
So, yeah, I didn't get that. Do we have any question, gentlemen, ladies?
Yes, please. Can I request gentlemen to come forward? I think we have some audio issues from there. Maybe you won't be able to. You can use this mic, please.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Danish Khan. Mutaz, can you hear me?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, go ahead, please.
Okay.
I'm trying to.
Okay, so my question is regarding the integration of 3D experience with the ERP modules. Currently in Pakistan, there are different industries that are using ERP softwares. So is it possible to integrate 3D experience with other ERP softwares like you can say SAP, etc.? Is there any possibility as well?
If I get the question correctly, you're asking about the ERP integration with the 3D experience platform, right?
Exactly.
Okay, that's a good question. So yeah, we have the ability to connect to any ERP or a third-party database even, not necessarily ERP. So if we have, for example, a CRM or dedicated, I don't know,
SAP.
inventory management system,
Yes.
of course we can connect to that. But of course we need to understand the scenario. We need to understand, is it going to be one record job or maybe a mass of records, like a batch of records. Hopefully that answered the question. Okay. So we have a rule called exchange management, and with that exchange management, we are communicating directly with a third-party database, and we have a specific or maybe dedicated solutions that comes directly with the big names of ERPs like SAP, and we have our own ERP that we provide the connection to. So we have Dell NewWorks, which is manufacturing ERP dedicated for that industry. Hopefully that answered the question.
Thank you. I have a second question that there are a lot of modules in 3D Experience. So is there any restrictions or embargoes on our region, like if you talk about Pakistan? So can we acquire any license, or there is any restriction as well?
You know, all the customers, not only in Pakistan, they are going through compliance, right? So, but at the end of the day, any orders for any customers should be going through legal and compliance department inside of our company, Dassault Systems. So, for my knowledge, that's the only restriction. I mean, this is the normal procedure, not really a restriction.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mutaz.
You're welcome.
You may discuss this one with me later on. Any other questions, please?
Hi there, Mutaz. I had a question about the compatibility of 3D Experience. I've got experience in using your desktop SolidWorks quite a bit, using the PDM in a previous company that we worked for, designing engines. We're starting a startup here in Islamabad, and I wanted to know that will 3D Experience be a replacement to your desktop SolidWorks? That's a slight confusion that I have. We are being offered a license for 3D Experience SolidWorks. So the online solution, is it a replacement to desktop SolidWorks, or do I need to invest in licenses for desktop SolidWorks as well? That's the question that I wanted to ask.
If I get that question correctly, you're asking about if the 3D Experience SolidWorks is going to be a replacement of SolidWorks, right?
Yes.
Okay, that's a good question. Thank you for that. It will never be a replacement. We as a company, maybe we are the only company, software company in the market today that we are offering all of that flexibility and options for the customer. So for example, if you wanted to go for on-prem solution, we have the solution for you. And if you wanted to go for the cloud solution, we have a solution for you. If you wanted to fully customize solution, we have that. And if you wanted to go for perpetual license, completely perpetual license, we have the options. And even if you wanted to go for desktop license, that extended or maybe term license, subscribe for 1 year, we have that option. And if you wanted to go for subscription model or SaaS model, we have that option. You're not forcing the customer to go for any other option. We, as a consultant, we can recommend to you that, yeah, this is the best for you. But eventually, if you decided to go for another way, that's your decision. And we have the option for that.
So,
And I believe the Dassault System strategy is never being to force the customer to go one direction.
So, just for one clarification, so the cloud-based system would give me quite a bit, I could get a lot of the capability of desktop SolidWorks on the cloud-based system, because I'm being offered that at the moment. I'm being offered that at the moment as a solution. And I've got experience using desktop SolidWorks, but so I'm a little bit afraid of, it might be a huge change, it might be very different. So yes, is it compatible?
Okay, so are we speaking about SolidWorks CAD or
CAD,
SolidWorks
yes.
PDM?
SolidWorks CAD. So making solid models. Making solid models and drawings and part numbers, and using the PDM.
Okay, no changes here.
Okay.
So we have two options inside of them. I mean, in terms of SolidWorks CAD, we have two options. The first option is the same, exactly the same, 100%. It's not 100%. It's the SolidWorks.
Okay.
Nothing changed. Right? SolidWorks that you know, that you love, that you used to use, and you're going to use it directly with the connector that you connected to the 3D Experience Cloud.
Okay.
No changes. right? So the same user interface, everything is the same. And the second option, what we call it SolidWorks Connected. And it's SolidWorks Connected, that's the change. Okay, so instead of SolidWorks, we can have SolidWorks Connected. This is one of the change, only the name. The second change that if you wanted, for example, to save locally, we don't have save, we have export. Because SolidWorks Connected by default will enable you to save to the 3D Experience platform. I mean, when you click Save in SolidWorks Connected, that's going to save directly to the 3D Experience platform. If you need to export to your local hard disk drive,
Yep.
there is export option.
Okay.
You know,
Okay.
these are like differences, minor differences, very minor differences. If you choose to go for SolidWorks Connected, SolidWorks Connected by default, it's up to date.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you.
And SolidWorks Desktop, it's not up to date. I mean, you can choose for example, to use it for the last 2 years, and it will be compatible with the 3D Experience platform. I mean, with the older version.
Thank you very much, Potas. And just another question from Dr. Jaz.
Yeah, hi Motaz, this is Dr. Ijaz.
Hi.
So as you mentioned that SolidWorks Experience, 3D Experience is a browser based, right? So there is any capability or new enhancement that other CAD software can incorporate in the system, like legacy data, how we can incorporate in the 3D experience?
Which data you need to incorporate? So I didn't get that.
Other CAD software, like other CAD software like Creo, like CATIA. So can
okay,
incorporate
okay,
in
okay,
this
very
3D experience system or not? And the second question related to the browser. So as most of the company, they want that if they are using 3D experience system, so how can secure their data?
The second question is regarding the security, right?
The first question is related to the legacy data or the other CAD software, right? The second question, how the company they will ensure, or they, you can give them the example of the security of their data if they will save in the 3D experience platform.
Okay. Thank you for the questions. So regarding the first question, you know, it's even more strategy is to think platform. I mean, we are not thinking like, yeah, the user should be using SolidWorks or maybe CATIA or whatever the CAD that we are providing. And that's why we're providing the overall picture using the platform. So if you have, for example, today, Creo or Inventor or any other CAD, of course, 3D Experience will be connected and integrated with these type of CADs. As we have seen, for example, it's even connected to Microsoft Office. And yeah, we have a lot of capabilities regarding to that. So if you have, I don't know, NX, for example, all of the other CADs, maybe we do have connection to that. Yeah. Hopefully that answer, and it will be working exactly the same as SolidWorks, which means that you will get, for example, all the maturity state, the revision management, the change action, the issue management, the type of collaboration, for example, through the 3D Experience platform. It will be working exactly the same. The second question is regarding the security, and if we need to answer that question, maybe we need the whole session today to answer the question of the security, because we have multiple layers of the security. You know, basically, we do care about the security because we are a software company, means that we have all the investment, I mean, huge investment in the security. That's coming from in our DNA by default. Because we are using, by the way, the same system. So me as a the system employee, I'm using exactly the same 3D Experience platform internally, which being hosted exactly in the same data center that you're going to use, right? So security is matter for us. So we have different layers of security, starting from the authentication, for example. So when you log into the 3D Experience platform, you need credential, right? So, and this credential, it's the first gate of the security. However, also you can connect this credential to your mobile app that enable you to get one-time password. And also there is a single sign-on, SSO, that enable the users once he logs into his machine, for example, to be connected to the 3D Experience platform. So these are the type of security once you log in. But after that, there's apps and rules security. So who's having access to specific apps? So for example, me as a designer, I have only SolidWorks type of access as a designer. Let's say, I don't know, I wanted to collaborate, I wanted to have a data management, I wanted SolidWorks as a tool to design. But maybe the other guys, they don't have access to design because they are not designers. And they don't have access to the data management role because they will never manage the data. They will need only to collaborate, like the salespeople. Maybe another people, like, I don't know, project managers. They will get access to collaboration, data management, plus project management inside of the 3D Experience platform. Again, this is a second layer of security. Another layer of security is the access of the data itself. So even we as designers, I have access to space that you don't have access to. Or maybe I do have access to the space as contributor, reader, viewer. And you as a designer, you will get access to a leader or maybe an owner as a manager. Again, these are level of security from user interface. But from the infrastructure level, we have like 7 layers of security. So I don't want to speak about that because it's gonna consume the whole session today. But eventually, we are certified OSAP, we are certified NEST, we are certified ISO, all the security type of information systems.
Thank you very much, Mutaz. Definitely is one of a genuine concern which every customer has regarding their data security, and we do have a lot of documentation available with us regarding the protocols in place regarding the data system, and we can also share those documents. Thank you very much, Mutaz. It was a pleasure having you here today, and we are looking forward to, I think, your next visit to Pakistan, hopefully. And
Sure.
we'll plan it shortly, and we'll have a lengthy session with you over here. Thank you very much. I know you like Islamabad and having the Pakistani food, so you and Rafal are always welcome to visit us, sir.
Thank you, and maybe see you soon in Pakistan. Shukran. Assalamu alaikum.
Vice Town. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Shukran.
So that was from Mutaz. I'm sure this is your, for most of you, it might be your first look at the 3D experience. We do have a couple of gentlemen who have been working on, I think from AWC, I believe. So they've been working on 3D experience for quite some time, and I'm sure you must have a good idea and a good experience working on this. And this is something very unique and something which we need to actually move towards. Now, just switching back to the previous or existing practices, you know, if we are not going to a cloud-based, if you're not ready to switch to a cloud-based solutions, so how do we manage our database locally deployed on our local servers and our you can say on our local systems on local cloud? So for that reason, we do have a system that is called SolidWorks PDM, which is a data management solution, which is a collaborative solution, which offers most of the functionalities which are being offered by 3D Experience cloud-based platform, but it's not cloud, it's locally deployed. And to explain you about the PDM solution, we have Mr. Umar Farooq here, who's been one of, I would say, the most experienced person and the most knowledgeable person working for a strategic organization, and he'll be sharing his experience of deploying the solution at their system and what does he has to say about this. So I would like to invite Mr. Umar Farooq and to tell us more about locally deployed data management solutions.